You can pick it up and move it if necessary, whatever. I don't know if you're going to be able to outdo this girl. She knew how to make a video. She did. So, the pasture. You guys, before we talk about this poem, we're going to talk about structure, okay? Now, look. Can someone just give me a general definition, a general meaning of structure? Constance, yes.
Like stanzas or lines, like how they're like put together.
Structure is how something is put together. Now, it could be a poem. I always like to use the house. You know, when you build a house, you put, the floor down. You lay the concrete, right? And then, Bob Brandon, you build the walls. And whether or not you are aware of this, the strongest part of a house are the corners. Okay? The corners are the strongest because the boards are pounded together and they're reinforced. That is structure. After that, you build the walls, you put the beams up top. That's for the attic. Then you build the roof, put the roof on. That is how a house is assembled. That is the structure of a house. Now, we have different types of houses, different sizes of houses. In general, houses are like this. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. That's the typical American house. And we can have houses that are bigger than that. We can have them 5 bedrooms, 5 baths, or whatever. Okay? If it's only 1 or 2, you might just need 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. But all of that is structure. Okay? You can walk into a house. You don't need a tape measure. You can just walk into the room and say, we've got a living room, we've got a small kitchen, we've got 2 bathrooms and 3 bedrooms. That's the structure of the house. Now, if you want to get more detailed, you pull out your tape measure, you measure the size of each room, figure out the square footage, right? But typically, just in general, our definition is what Constance said. Structure is how something's put together. So we look at that and we do that with poems. Now let's look at this poem, The Pasture. The Pasture by Robert Frost. Okay? The Pasture by Robert Frost. Now, without ever reading a word of this poem, we should be able to tell some details about its structure without ever reading a word. First of all, it's a short poem. You know what I'm saying? That is not a long poem. It is short. Okay? It could fit in the palm of my hand. It is so short. Second, how many stanzas does it have?
2.
That's another item of structure we can see about this poem. It has 2 stanzas. How many lines per stanza?
4.
4. That is another item of structure. Now, that's pretty simple, guys. Now, if I were just looking at this poem, I would say, it's short. It's got 2 stanzas. It's got 4 lines in each stanza. And somebody said, what do you think it's about, Mr. Richmond? I'd say, it's probably like some message or something. They want us to learn some little lesson. That's why it's so short. It's a little lesson. It's a little poem. And it's probably organized, which is why it's got the same number of lines per stanza. It seems organized. That would be my guess. That's structure, how it's put together. All right. Now, we need to read it. Now, this is supposed to have a bouncy feel. So I'm gonna read it with a bouncy feel. It's The Pasture by Robert Frost. I'm going out to clean the pasture spring. I'll only stop to rake the leaves away and wait to watch the water clear I may. I shan't be gone long, you come too. I'm going out to fetch the little calf that's standing by the mother, it's so young. It totters when she licks it with her tongue. I shan't be gone long, you come too. Okay, so that's our little poem. It's a little happy-go-lucky poem. Does it have a rhyme scheme?
Yeah.
It certainly rhymes. Look, lines 2 and 3 in each stanza rhyme. In the first stanza, it's away rhymes with may. In the second stanza, young rhymes with tongue. Okay, so that's more structure. Does it have a rhyme scheme? Poems don't have to have a rhyme scheme, right? But when they do, that is part of the structure. When they don't, that's also part of the structure. What else did y'all notice structurally about this? Nothing to do with the meaning. What else? Yes, dear.
Rhythm.
It has rhythm. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. That's just the rhythm of the poem. I know some of you started tapping your little feet with me. I'm cool with that. I don't know, somebody over here. Because I'm a drummer, we used to have to tap when we played, or you have to tap our foot, stay in time. Say what?
You have to do that.
Yeah.
I actually play drums.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Good for you. The drummers get the girls. Now, did y'all notice that the last line of each stanza is the same? I shan't be gone long, you come too. Yeah. So that's the structure. Now, this poem, by the way, is just about he was going outside to do some raking, and then he had to go get the little calf from its mom, and the mom licked the little calf, and it says he tottered. I mean, a calf's got a big tongue, like Alyssa, and it like that, and totter over like, that's all. What were you going to say, Kennedy?
The first line in each stanza start with the same thing.
Oh, I'm going out to? Yes, that's another part of the structure. Yes, I didn't even notice that. Thank you. She said the first 4 words of each stanza are the same. Thank you. I'll get you a piece of candy in a minute. Hold on, I'll get it right now. All right, go ahead and turn the page. We're going to do the next. There you go. You like Reese Pieces? I'm saving some Reese Pieces for myself. Reminds me of watching E.T. There's your Reese Pieces. All right.
I gotta sit that one.
All right, Miss D, you're going to miss it, though. You're going to miss it. You better hurry. It's good stuff. Let's turn the page to 162. This poem is so good. Hope is the thing with feathers. Now, look. We're going to talk about structure. How do I look?
Good.
Okay, hope is the thing with feathers. Look, guys, let's just talk about the structure of this poem. Eric, trying to help you out, man. Trying to help you. Hope is the thing with feathers. For real. Eric, tell me one thing regarding the structure of this poem. One thing, friend. I'm sorry? Yes, sir. One thing about the structure, but the way this poem is assembled. Give me one thing. Come on. That's something. It has 3 stanzas. See how easy that was? Yeah. It has 3 stanzas. We look, this could be written in Chinese, and I could look at it and be like, I don't know what it says, but it has 3 stanzas. Give me another thing, Caleb. Every stanza has 4 lines. Okay? Is it a long poem? No. So, it's a total of 12 lines. That's really not a long poem. It's probably in but 60 words or something like that. So that's the structure. If you were to say, Mr. Richmond, what do you think this poem is about? You can only look at the title and look at the poem. You can't read it. Just look at the structure. I'd say, well, it seems organized, so it's probably a very rudimentary poem, and doesn't seem anything special. That's what I would think. Now let's read this. This poem, by the way, is so good. Hope is the thing with feathers. Hope is the thing with feathers. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. What is this? Somebody tell me just, what's this poem about? What do you think it's about? Constance, yes.
Like someone's asking somebody to do something.
No. Good try, though. Randy.
They're comparing hope to like a bird.
They're comparing hope to a bird. Look, hope is a thing with feathers. That's a metaphor, right? So they're saying hope it's a bird, right? That perches in the soul. So it lives like in your heart, inside you, right? And sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. Do we ever give up hope according to this poem? It's saying we never give up hope. Saying it's like a little bird that lives, it's like your heart. You never stop. You always have this dream to do something. Okay, now I'll give you a rather dark analogy, but it's going to work. Guys, if you were kidnapped, and believe me, some of you, they would not keep long. They'd bring you back. But if you were kidnapped and you were put in the trunk of a car, right? You wouldn't just quit breathing and die. You would have hope that you were going to escape, that you were going to get out, that you were going to be free again, that you would be okay, that you make it back to your parents. You would never quit hoping.
I would lose all hope.
Say what?
I said I would lose all hope.
Constance, nobody's going to kidnap you. Okay? I assure you. Some of these kids, okay, they're not even stopping in your driveway. No. All right? Is anybody disagreeing?
No.
And sweetest in the gale is heard. And now this is an important stanza. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. That's really such a powerful stanza. Let's look. I'm going to read it again. If somebody can try and explain it, we'll see. Sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. What's that mean? Sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. Yes, Caleb.
Throw anything, you can still have hope.
You're on the right track, but no. Sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. The little bird is hope. Sore must be the storm that could abash it. What's it saying? Yes, Bree.
That like hurt can be like the thing that like just ruins hope.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that if you are hurt enough, then you can give up, right? Now let's go to the last stanza. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. What does hope require of you? Huh?
Like you.
Yeah,
Trust.
it only requires you. It doesn't require anything else, right? So let's compare this to lunch. Lunch, we don't have to go far, but we actually have to get out of our desk, walk to the cafeteria, and get the food, right? We have to do something to get that lunch. Hope, you don't have to do anything. You can hope there's a fire drill so you can get out of Mr. Richmond's class. That is completely free to do. It doesn't require anything. You just hope it, right? That's what it's saying. It's a good poem. Emily Dickinson, she always writes dark poetry. This next poem is so good. This next poem is so good. Dream Deferred. You liked this poem, didn't you, Bree? Bree went like this. Bree, tell me what the word deferred means.
Like thrown away or lost.
Thrown away, lost, postponed, put off. Guys, think about it. When you postpone something, do you oftentimes never come back to it?
Yeah.
You do. You oftentimes never come back to it. Let me give you two examples. One's going to be a school example, all right? You owe Mr. Richmond an essay, okay? You have to have his essay done by Wednesday, like last week, right? And you don't start the essay until Tuesday night because you're going to do this man's essay, but is it a really good essay if you start it Tuesday night? So one thing, if we postpone things, generally the result is not that great. You might get it finished, right? But it's not going to be a particularly great result. And then the other thing is sometimes you might never get to it at all. I'll give you an example. You've always wanted to go to California. You just wanted to go to California. It looks so beautiful, the pictures you've seen, and there's so many movies made in California, you want to go to California. So you become 25 years old, you've had a job a while, saved up some money, you've got the week off from work, and you really want to take your trip to California. But you say, you know what? I'm going to wait until next year. I'm not going to go this summer because I would rather just save a little more money. I'd feel a little more comfortable. You say, matter of fact, I'll go during Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving comes around, you say, I can't go during Thanksgiving. I got to see my family. I can't go during Christmas. I'll see my family. I'll go again next summer. Well, next summer you don't make it. A couple summers later you don't make it. And next thing you know, you got a wife and a kid. Do you ever make it?
No.
Probably not. Probably not. So a lot of times when you postpone opportunities, they don't come around again. Remember that. Dream deferred. That's what this is about. This is so good. Now, before we read it, let's just look at this poem. Look at the structure of this poem. Tram and cheese. Tell me one thing about the structure of this poem that we can see without even reading a word. There's a question mark. It asks a question. The very first line, which is a stanza, by the way, asks a question. We can see that without reading a word. What else can we tell about this? You.
It has some rhyme in it. Like rhyming.
Well, we have to read words to see that, though, Alyssa. You.
It has 3 stanzas.
No, it has 4. The first line, what happens to a dream deferred? That's a stanza. It doesn't look like it because it's set off. By the way, that would be another thing about the structure. that the first line it sits to the left, and the other stanzas are all on the right. It has 4 stanzas. Which one is the longest stanza?
The
Second. And then the second longest stanza is the third. And then the shortest stanza is the fourth. It's only 4 words. Let's read this. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? Man, that's good. Yes, Constance.
Like, can I tell you what it means?
Yes.
Like, they're talking about how dreams could not come true and how they're hoping for dreams and how it could be good or bad.
You're on the right track. You're on the right track. You are. The dream's not coming true was part of it. Let's look at it. What happens to a dream deferred? So it asks a question. First thing it says is, what happens if you postpone your dreams? If you put it off until next year, next month. Let's look at the first thing. It says, does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? If something dries up, if a dream dries up, what does that mean? The person who had the dream, what did that person do?
They gave up.
Yes! They gave up. Does it dry up like a raisin? Did you give up? Or does it fester like a sore and then run? Fester like a sore would be like a rash, and it keeps growing and expanding, and you started scratching your underarm, and then next thing you're scratching down here, and then you're scratching your whole belly or whatever. It's festering, and then it's like getting little blisters, and it's got pus running out of it. That's like that. Does it fester like a sore and then run? What does the dream become then when it begins to fester like a sore? What does it become? Yes.
It's like, it's always there, but it's like you can't do it or you don't want to do it.
And it becomes regret. That's right. It's always there in the back of your mind that you had your opportunity and you passed up your opportunity. The next one, does it stink like rotten meat? Also regret. Or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet. I think that means, do you just learn to accept it and it's okay and you move on? Okay? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Again, that's regret.
Just like regret on you.
Absolutely. It's like you're carrying around this burden. You had this wonderful opportunity, you passed it up, and now you're living in your mom's basement or something like that. Or does it explode? Okay? All right, so that's dream deferred. We're going to get done. This class is going to get done. This next poem is so good. Annabelle Lee on page 164. Annabelle Lee. Well, let's talk about the structure of this poem. Christelle, tell me one thing about the structure of this poem. Not what's it about. What is the structure? Tell me one structural... I can't even think. Tell me one thing about the structure. Well, Christelle, let's answer an easy question. Is it long or short? It seems long to me. It's over a page. That would be a piece of structure, just like a big house or a small house. Tell me something else.
8 stanzas.
No, 6 stanzas.
Oh.
It has 6 stanzas. Stanza 5, guys, starts at the bottom of 164 and finishes at the top of 165. It has 6 stanzas, not 8. Second period thought the same thing. Okay? And the lines, it goes, if you're counting the lines, 6, 6, 8, 6, 6, 8. So stanzas 1 and 2 have 6 lines. Stanza 3 has 8. Stanzas 4 and 5 have 6 lines. Stanza 6 has 8. Let's read it. Annabelle Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea that a maiden there lived, whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabelle Lee, with the love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. Excuse me. And this was the same reason that long ago in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabelle Lee, so that her highborn kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels not half so happy in heaven went envying her and me. Yet that was the reason, as all men know in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. Yes, Constance.
And so, can I say what it means?
I would love for you to.
Okay, so it's like about this like elderly couple, and like the wife dies before him, and like she's buried by like an ocean or whatever, and like he goes there every day to see her,
You're on the right track.
and like when he leaves, she's not with him, and so it makes him upset.
You're on the right track, but you're not quite accurate. First of all, they're not elderly.
Their child.
It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. So this maiden means an unmarried woman. Now let's continue. I was a child and she was a child. They were children, just like you just said. They were kids. I was a child and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee. With a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. What is a winged seraph of heaven? It's an angel, yes. What else would there be, right? Very good. He said, our love was so strong that the angels living in heaven were jealous. That's what coveted means. They were jealous.
It's kids that can't be together like 24/7.
On the right track, but not quite. And this was the reason that long ago in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. So she died. A sepulchre is a tomb. She died because the angels were jealous. It says that this cold wind came and chilled, just like she got pneumonia. And he blames it on the angels because they were jealous. Stanza 4. The angels not half so happy in heaven went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. So stanza 4 is basically a repeat with different words of stanza 3. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither, this is my favorite part, and neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. Anthony, what's that mean? The angels, the demons, they can never dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. What's it mean?
Basically, they can't separate this.
That's right. The angels and the demons, even though she's dead and I'm still here on earth, they can't separate our souls. We're still in love. And then we have this part. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee. Who's he dream of every night? Yeah. And the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. Where does this dude sleep every night?
By her tomb.
He goes down and sleeps by her. Reminds me of A Rose for Emily. Remember that, where the lady killed the guy with the arsenic? She went and slept with him every night. Now, this is the last one we're going to do. We're going to do Remember. Remember by Christina Rossetti. Let's talk about structure. Is it a very long poem?
No.
Not really. How many stanzas is it? One stanza. This poem, y'all, is so good.
It's sad.
It is sad. Yes. Remember me when I am gone away, gone far away into the silent land, when you can no more hold me by the hand, nor I half turn to go, yet turning stay. Remember me when no more, day by day, you tell me of our future that you planned. Only remember me, you understand. It will be late to counsel then or pray. Yet, if you should forget me for a while, and afterwards remember, do not grieve. For if the darkness and corruption leave, a vestige of the thoughts that I once had. Better by far you should forget and smile than that you should remember and be sad. This is so good. What's it saying there, Miley? Miley was smiling.
Yeah. It's basically saying, like, don't forget, like, the relationship they had.
You're on the right track. Constance?
Like, this girl's like saying, don't forget her and like keep on going on with life.
On the right track. It does say keep on going on with life. That's important. Let's look at this again. Last one we're doing. Remember me when I am gone away, gone far away into the silent land. What is the silent land? Oh, it's death. It's death. So she said, remember me when I'm gone. When I'm dead, remember me. When you can no more hold me by the hand. Now I have turned to go, yet turning stay. Remember me when no more day by day you tell me of our future that you planned. She's saying, you know, you had all these dreams for us. And unfortunately, this person is obviously dying. I think this is like a cancer victim. This is just my guess. It's like a cancer patient. And she's gotten this verdict where she's terminally ill. So she's got 6 months.
She's not writing her death note.
Yeah, she's writing her husband, I guess, a poem saying, I want you to remember me. Remember me when, you know, all the dreams that we had we were going to do together, we can't do them. Then she says, this is so good. Only remember me, you understand. It will be too late to counsel then or pray. And here, this is so good. Yet if you should forget for a while, and afterwards remember, do not grieve. What does that mean? If you should forget me for a while, then afterwards remember, do not grieve. Brianne, what's it mean?
Like, she's saying, like, if you forget me and then you remember, like, don't grieve because, like, there's no point of you even.
That's right. You know, guys, we can be sad about things, all right? And you know, you've had things in your life that made you sad. My little dog died is like the worst day of my life, for real. My dog dying is the worst day of my life.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it took me a while, like, to get used to coming home and her not being there, because it was just me and her for so long. You know, I'm not married. It's just me and my little dog. Come home, my little dog wasn't there. But eventually, I could walk in the door, and it wasn't the first thing in my mind. But that doesn't mean, like, don't still think about her, and it makes me a little upset. But I don't sit there and wallow in it and cry. So she's saying, you know, you're going to forget me. You're going to move on. You're going to walk in the door one day, and you're not going to think about me. But occasionally when you do, I don't want you to be sad. This is a very selfless woman. This is a very nice lady. She's saying, I want you to have a nice life. It says, for if the darkness and corruption leave a vestige of the thoughts that once I had, better by far you should forget and smile than that you should remember and be sad. What's that mean? Better by far you should forget and smile than that you should remember and be sad. Abigail, do you know?
Yeah, whenever, like, he has memories of her, he wants her to, like, she wants him to be happy.
That's
not
right.
sad.
That's right. Explain it a little bit more. Better by far you should forget and smile. Go.
She's saying that, like, if you forget me and you're happy, just leave it at that. Don't, like, remember me and be sad.
That's exactly right. This is a very nice lady that's writing this. She's, like, more concerned about other people than she is her own self. She's dying and she's saying, it's okay. Y'all have a good life. I'll be fine. You go have a good life. She is a super duper selfless human being. That's a beautiful poem. Okay. Questions, comments? Don't be packing. Questions, comments, expostulations? Yes, Elissa.
The author that wrote this, is it actually about her, or was she just?
It's a great question. I don't know. Why don't you look it up on your computer in a minute? I'm serious. I'm curious. You can go look it up on Bond. All right. Any other questions? Okay. I hope y'all liked those. Thanks, guys. We're done.